Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. This is your host, Michael Andre Ford in San Antonio, Texas. And today we have a very special guest from the Phoenix area in Arizona, Michelle Clare. Michelle Clare, welcome.
Hello, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And just so folks know, Michelle is a fantastic spiritual healer, psychic, certified, angel intuitive. She connects to your loved ones, connects to angels, connects to guides, and she'll let you know what's going on. So people come to her all the time regarding their situations, where they are in life, health issues, and so on. And she gets you your answers. She's absolutely fantabulous. I think you're going to feel her energy right off the bat. We're going to let her do some of her intro. She has 3 near-death experiences to her name. This isn't something that we treat like those Boy Scout badges and all the rest. So this is a good thing. It's a tough thing. It's part of the color of life, but it also has helped her own her healing gifts and also to be in a place where she not just lives her dream, her path, works on her own healing, but helps many, many others. It gives her the foundation, the strength to do so. She had 3 near-death experiences. We'll hear about some of those later in the show in 2000, 2006, and on 11/1/11, so November 1st of 2011. Again, we'll hear about that in a second. But first, again, Michelle, welcome. Let me ask you right off the bat, do angels exist?
Absolutely. I see them all the time. I hear them all the time. They're around everyone. Everyone has at least one guardian angel. One of the times that I was connecting with my angels, I had been invited to be on a TV show, and it actually really scared me. And so I went in my room and I was almost hyperventilating. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that. And my angel came in and said, Michelle, it is easier for you to die than live. This is an opportunity to live. Take it. And it almost startled me because it was so real, so true, and so in my face. It was filled with love, but I'll tell you what, from my 3 near-death experiences, it is more challenging to live than to transition.
Wow. And I'm assuming that with the near-death experiences, part of that mini journey is feeling incredible love, comfort, light, where a lot of your thinking, all the burdens of living here separate and you're much more comfortable in a way. I've always heard the story of people not wanting to come back, and I get that. But let's talk for a second. The concept of even listening, we're listening all the time to our own voices and good intuition, bad intuition, all the rest. What advice would you have? Can anyone do this? Can anyone feel more comfortable with the other side, with heaven, with the universe, with angels? Talk to us a little bit about how this is a lot simpler than they might think.
Absolutely. Anyone and everyone can do this. Listen, our main connection to Source, God, the divine, is our soul. And that is how we channel and communicate with our loved ones in spirit, our life guides, our angels, and all of that. So we already come to planet Earth with this natural ability. Now, a lot of times people want to overcomplicate it. They think they need to go meditate for 5 hours. They need to om or chant. All of these things are beautiful. But listen, half the time my angels are talking to me with emojis. I'll say, should I do this or should I do this? I get thumbs up, thumbs down, right? So they don't make it complicated because they want to support us on our journey and they want to continually be there for us. So with that being said, we can ask for words, feelings, visions. Like I'll say to people, ask them to drop a picture in your head. So to me, I'll say that's similar if I say, imagine a baseball field. Can you see it in your mind? If you can, your angels can communicate with you that way. So you can say, do I go to Maui or do I go to the Caribbean? Let them show you where is the right place for you to go.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, tell us more about angels and tell us about when you started to discover your gifts, but then there's probably a different chapter of your life where you actually owned your gifts or needed to shift towards full on being a healer.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, as a kid, I was raised Catholic, and I am certainly not against any religion. There were a lot of things that worked well for me, and there were some things that never felt right. And so, you know, it was almost as if at that point I already knew I had this personal direct connection to God. So sometimes they would say something, I'd be like, huh, that feels weird. I don't know about that. That's not the God I know. That's not the source I know. And so I started at a young age being able to discern what felt right for me in my connection and relationship with the divine and what didn't. And then as I aged at 12, my grandfather passed away. I didn't necessarily connect with angels at that point in time, but that was when I noticed I still had a connection with him after he had transitioned to the other side.
Okay, so tell us about your grandpa and you're 12. Did you have him show up at your bedside? I often hear that story. If you have a passed over relative, they often will come visit to say everything's okay within a couple weeks. And you think it's a dream or sort of not a dream, or you discount it pretty heavily after the fact. But it sounds like you had some experiences. Can you share a few of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So it did start with dreams with him and I. But the kind of dream where it was like, no, I think he might actually be standing by my bed talking to me, like very vivid, lucid dreaming. And with those dreams, he would come in, he would tell me, look, I'm okay, I'm good. You need to tell your mom not to worry about me, not to feel guilty. I'm healthy again. And give me all these messages to share with my mom. And so I'd start telling my mom about this. And I would say, hey, mom, grandpa says, and she'd look at me and she'd say, well, that's what you think he would say if he was still here. And so what I realized, a little bit surprisingly for me, was that not everyone was having these connections and communications with grandpa like I was. So after I had talked about it a few times, I kind of stopped talking about it because it always became, well, that's what you think he would say. And I was really aware that's what he was still saying.
And today you still chat with your grandfather?
Absolutely.
Do you
Yeah.
have a lot of other relatives too that you have plugged into since?
Yeah. Well, so after that, my grandfather, or after he transitioned, my grandmother transitioned about, I think, 7 years later. So the same thing, grandma transitions, and I'm like, hey, grandma and I are still talking. Grandma and I are still communicating. Share those messages with my mom, kind of get the same response. Well, that's what you think grandma would say if she was here. So again, I kind of kept that to myself. Now I'm really at a point, and it's because I do this professionally, but I think we all can with training and practice. I can connect with anyone I want, pretty much, in my family on the other side. Now, I often say as a medium, I cannot make your loved one be here, but most likely they will be. So I cannot make them come in and give you a message. But usually our loved ones in spirit want to be here to support us, to guide us, to let us know we're still loved, valued, cherished, and they will come in.
And I've seen you in action where you've tasted the air, so to speak, connected, and been able to explain to someone, a complete stranger, what the situation was all about, the bigger picture, pass along loving, supportive messages to that person so they could kind of wrap their head around the situation, feel better, and either move on or take advantage of what was being offered to them. So tell us a little bit more about, you had gifts when you were younger, but it wasn't something like you skipped high school, skipped college, and started playing psychic medium at age 14. Tell us a little bit about your life path, how things developed, unfolded, any obstacles along the way, or you were able to start to carve out this path, or did it take 1, 2, 3 near-death experiences for you to go, okay, I'm getting a message from the universe, I'm ready to go?
Absolutely. I did it the hard way. It took 3 near-death experiences. I wish I could say I was all plugged in and moving forward. But honestly, when I started connecting with my grandma and grandpa, I didn't even know the word mediumship. I knew we were communicating and that was continuing on, but mediumship wasn't a word. So it was just kind of like, okay, I don't know what to call this, but we're still in communication and we're still in a relationship. So as that went on, I started getting more messages from them. Then I had my first near-death experience in April 2006. And at that point in time, I was actually in the hospital that day visiting my sister-in-law who had had my niece. And her RN happened to be my friend from high school. So I was standing in the hallway talking to her RN. And all of a sudden, I have a massive seizure. And so I hit the ground, which I have no memory of. But what I do remember is opening my eyes, and I'm laying with my head in my grandma's lap. And she is the youngest, healthiest, most beautiful version of her that I could remember. And she's smiling at me. And I'm feeling so much love and bliss and timelessness. And it was truly just overwhelming. Our human words do not really capture the feeling of that heavenly experience. And so I was in that space loving it. And as I look up next to her and I see this 12-foot tall angel. And this angel was stunning, awe-inspiring. Her energy just kind of sucked you in. And as soon as I saw her, I thought, oh, I want to see her wings, right? Because I'm looking for these big feathery wings. And I go to look at her wings and I find out they're actually made of light, and they're kind of iridescent and translucent, and they move just like, they remind me of the aurora borealis, the way that the energy around them would move. So I'm kind of in awe looking at her. And I think to myself, what is your name? And she answers me. She says her name's Madeline, and she's one of my guardian angels. Well, I'm really surprised because I also do not know about telepathic communication at this point in time. But I'm aware she just read my thoughts, right? So at that point in time, I am just in this beautiful space. I had never felt so loved in my life. And the truth is, I felt loved growing up. So it wasn't that I was somebody that didn't feel loved, but this was beyond measure, truly loved beyond measure. And there are no words to describe it. The next thing I know, I hear them yelling, code, code, code. And I'm back in my body because I had quit breathing during the seizure. And it was so heavy and so dense. And my arm felt like it weighed 500 pounds. And it was just kind of shocking, I think, to go from that realm where it was all light and fluffy and love to boom, hard, cold, heavy. You know, I had people around me. I had the code team there. It was a lot.
Okay, now there are people who are following and they heard 3 near-death experiences, and that was a beautiful story. So we're going to get right back to that in 1 second. But yes. So 2000, 2006, 2011, or 2011, was 2000 was the seizure? Was that the first one? Or
yes, that was the first one.
Okay, because I think we said 2006. So I want to make sure there's people who followed the timeline, and I'm just with the story. So I want to get back to like Madeline. Do you chat with Madeline daily, once a week? How often have you been able to carve out the space? Because we have thinking and resistance, and that could be about mowing the lawn. But now picture you've had this experience. Madeline's there. How often do you get to park it, slow your roll, sit down by the pool, wherever, beach somewhere, go for a walk and connect, but never quite the same level? How often do you get a chance to fully connect? Is it before bed? And can you give us a practical exercise so that people aren't necessarily thinking they have to go through a near-death experience, but that they can start the process of a little more acquaintance with their team, their supportive team?
Absolutely. So, you know, I try to connect with my team at least once a day. I usually do it in the morning because that's when it works for me. By the time I get to the end of the day, I literally fall asleep before I lay down in bed, right? It's just how I am. And I never remember my dreams anymore. So all of my information from spirit that I'm consciously aware of comes through when I'm awake. So in the morning, what I'll try to do is just kind of connect. And a lot of times what I like to say, and I will leave this as an open question, is what do I need to know today, spirit? And I just leave it open because I don't know what I need to know, but my team does, right? And a lot of times I'll get the answer, be present, or hey, you need to check in on this friend today. So listen, we are always, always, always in communication with our team. Our humanness doesn't recognize it, but our soul builds in 1,000 moments a day where we go up, check in, connect, go up, check in, connect. For some of us, that's in the hot shower. For some of us, that's driving the car. For some of us, it's on a run. For other people, it's sitting quietly. There are a million times a day that we have the opportunity. So to think that we're not constantly checking in with spirit is actually not accurate. We're just not consciously aware of it.
Oh, I mean, if you're watching this, you have to react to what we just heard. So I'd like to have you slow it down a touch and go back to this so that now anyone watching, no matter whether they're in New Zealand, Europe, California, Hawaii, how can they first take a step just to appreciate what you said? You gave them great advice, and that is so powerful. And I loved what you said about not remembering dreams. That's kind of how I am. I mean, there's an exception twice a year. And I think it's a positive in a way because there's a lot going on, university classes at night. How can a person take a first step of setting their intent? They're about to get into the car and they're like, oh, I got 10 minutes, I'm early. It could be anywhere, sitting on their back step. How can they just set the table to then make the request? Hey, universe, angels, what have you got for me? Can you take us through one more series of exercises that anyone should be able to do? Because you've got a lot of confidence, motivation, enthusiasm, energy for us all, and you don't mind sharing right now. So
Absolutely not. So, number one, find that spot where you have your aha moments. Is it in the shower? Is it driving the car? Is it in meditation? Is it in yoga class? Is it on a run? Find that moment where you feel like you get your ahas, right? And now I want you to extend that moment and use it with intention. So, let's say I'm going to go for a run today, which I am just totally kidding you. I hate running. You would never see me running. But let's pretend I'm going to go for a run today, like someone else I might know here. I will set the intention before I start running. Maybe I have a problem I'm working on. Okay, do I take job A or job B, right? So I would start by kind of taking a few deep breaths in. You can do this wherever you are. And say, my intention is that by the time I get back from the run, I will have clarity on if I'm taking job A or job B. And then my idea would be to kind of go for the run without thinking about it, because I don't want to focus my Michelle energy on it. I want the universe to give me their answer. And so with that being said, we can do this in the shower, on the drive. We can do it sitting quietly on the couch. Here's the thing. A lot of times when I'm connecting with spirit, the answer comes like out of left field or right field. It's not what my mind, the track that my mind is on. So number one, that's a dead giveaway. Hey, that didn't come from me. My mind was going this way and that just took a right turn or whatever that is, right? So we want to be aware of the answers that come that actually don't go in alignment with our thought pattern, but we also want to be kind of open. So a lot of times people who are psychics or mediums or whatever will say, and this is somewhat true for me too, it is hard to get our own information for ourselves. And why is that? Because we have an emotional attachment to it. This is good, that's bad. I want this, I don't want that. And so whenever we put emotions on something, it makes it a little bit more challenging. But if we can kind of just look at it very objectively, the universe will absolutely guide you to the right answer for you. And it doesn't have to be hard. Set the intention, ask the question, take your hot shower, drive your car, go for your run, sit alone for 5 minutes on the couch and let them guide you.
And give us a little pep talk on just the basic ability that we have a heart. We are far bigger than we realize, and we have the ability to slow down and tap in to everything in us and around us, however you want to describe it. Give us one more little pep talk that we already have it all. You've had near-death experiences that have given you a broader perspective. Mm-hmm. It's like going to Bora Bora, Tahiti, Hawaii combined, and you realize beach vacations are good. Not to quite put it that way, but you get the idea. Give us a quick pep talk that we're all we have big hearts. We have big capacity for more love. And that's almost the meaning, I would guess, of some part of our journey, if not the whole thing.
Absolutely. And I want to do two things with that. Number one, listen, we have intelligence from our brain. Our heart has intelligence and our gut has intelligence. So we have three extremely intelligent centers right here in our body. People get the gut feeling that they follow all the time, right? Not because they're thinking about it. They're just saying, ooh, this feels right. That feels like it's going to go bad. Trust those feelings, whether it's coming from your gut, your heart, or your brain, because you have three intelligence centers that are working together. So one way to do this is, even if you just say, this feels right, and my gut, like, yeah, that feels right, and my head says yes, okay, 2 out of 3, it's a go. Or my heart is saying yes, and my mind is saying yes, and my gut's like, I don't know. Well, we still have 2 out of 3. So I think that we could probably go with that, right? So think about, you have 3 intelligence centers that are constantly trying to guide you. Spirit's talking to you through all of them. The other thing that I would say when we're thinking about our humanness, when I think of our whole soul, I think about this body of Michelle is just the little pinky fingertip of my soul, dipping its little fingernail in the water here on planet Earth. So what I want to do is I want to go up into the expansion of my soul. So literally imagine yourself going up into like this giant balloon energy where everything is right there for you to ask the question and receive the answer. So here's the beautiful thing about the universe. It's kind of like Google. It doesn't care what you want to know. Type it in, it'll give you the answer. It's not judging you. Oh, you're a bad person. You can't find that out. You're a good person. Here you go. It's not judging you. The information is always available, but we have to step up into our higher selves or that balloon energy to really connect to that. Because when we stay in our itty bitty tiny human form, we do mentally tend to block what's available to us.
Well said. And so you touched on not judging. maybe we're a little more limited when we're only doing thinking, and that might be an understatement. Talk to us about how you've had to learn to not judge what's coming in and to very quickly, it's kind of like highlight, if people are aware of, if they remember the opening scene of the original Miami Vice, the ball keeps moving and there's wicker baskets attached to the hand. People are keeping it moving, the ball. It's a sport. You bet on it and so on. So talk to us about how you keep the message moving. And Michelle Clare, who we're speaking with here, 2 L's in Michelle, CLARE in the Phoenix area. And it's michelleclaire.net for her website. Wonderful website. You're gonna absolutely love the clarity, Claire. Michelle Clare, you're going to love her website, but talk to us about how you learned very quickly early on in your helping others to get out of the way and deliver the message.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, here's a little funny story about that. So I was getting ready to go up and do my first group reading, and there were about 25 people out there. And I was so nervous, I thought I was going to throw up on myself because, oh my God, all these people are here to see me. What if I get it wrong? What if, all this energy that was coming up? And literally my angels come in and said, Michelle, this isn't about you. All we're asking you to do is listen. And the minute they said that, I felt the most relief. And I was like, oh, this really isn't about me. This isn't just about my ability to listen. And I can do that. So that is what we are looking at, listening, whether it's from our life guide, spirit, divine. Sometimes I get messages for people, and I'll just say, this is coming from spirit, because I can't pinpoint it to Uncle Bob or Grandma, whoever, you know what I mean? But I know that it's a divine message coming in. And when we're in that state, what we want to do is kind of have our mind blank and let that flow through. And that's what I'm really doing when I'm doing readings for people. I am not sitting here judging you, good, bad, great life, bad life, successful life. I love you. I don't care. That's not my job. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to tell you what spirit is telling me. So with that, I'm actually able to step in to life and listen to what spirit is saying that is for this person's highest good.
You've had to learn boundaries too, so that you're not taking on the person's energy that you're dealing with. You've had to, it just means a smoother path for you daily, your health and everything else. Can you talk to us about sensing all that out and what you've learned after all these years of doing this?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that is so important. So one of the things that I learned quickly from my mentor when I was training to become a medium was boundaries and rules and regulations, and that spirit will actually abide by those, follow those, honor them. So no, I do not get woken up at 2 a.m. by the neighbor's grandma who's in spirit. You know what I mean? I don't, because I said to spirit, like, I need to sleep. If you want me to work for you, I need to sleep. I need my life. I need my rest. And spirit says, okay, we honor that. So one of the rules that I very, very quickly put in, because when I really had this deep, deep opening after my third near-death experience, I was feeling everybody's everything. And it's very challenging to function in life when you're an empath and you're feeling everyone's everything, right? And I work with these clients all the time. It's, I'm not the only one, neither are you. There are millions of people who are empathic, right? So what I found really quickly was, I said to spirit, I want to be aware, but I don't want to feel it. So I can be aware that my client is in deep grief. I can be aware that my client needs clarity. I can be aware, but I don't need to feel their grief, their depression, their brain fog, their whatever it is, their physical illness. I don't need to feel it to know about it. I can be aware of it without carrying that. And that made a world of difference, because as I do this work, if I'm feeling someone's grief, my channel is getting a little bit clogged. My messages for you are not going to be as clear as I want them to be. So if I can be aware that you're in deep grief, but not be sitting in it, feeling it with you, then I'm actually able to still hold the space to provide you with the message that you're supposed to be getting today.
Well put. And again, it's awesome hearing you speak about all these topics. You're organized and you're helping us out very much. I can remember early on, this is, I don't know, 9-10 years ago, I had to learn boundaries back then. I'm still learning boundaries today. I think we all are in a way. It's just keeping ourselves intact and not putting ourselves out there too much, when the job, we can just stay here and let angels do the work and the universe do the work and be the buffer. So only compassion and light, the highest intent, comes through. But I remember getting laid out on a couch for literally 2 days in tears, or a day and a half in tears, because I definitely didn't know boundaries back then. And then another time, I've got to mention, if I'm at a bookstore and I see somebody and I'm like, oh my gosh, I kind of hear not a doorbell ring, but I get pinged and I'm supposed to help them. I'm looking at books. It's my private time. I'm human and I just want to have my private space. I found that I usually get 3 tries at a store. I'll even run into them on the third instance in the parking lot if I've been not selfish, but just not open and ready to go. So I'll shift lanes and go to a different section. I'll look at mysteries all of a sudden when I was looking at history, and there they show up again. And then I'll strike up a conversation and do stuff. So I helped this one woman out one time, and then people throw hugs on you before you know what's happened. They're very thankful, but that hug is a huge energy transaction that I've had to have an extra set of boundaries for, because I end up being like a Hoover vacuum. I take all that with me. So she gave me a hug. I drove home, and then our house started to have a lot of stuff happen. She had a passed over teenager son who had passed over, and he was sort of 50-50. Nothing bad here, but nothing great either. We had to ask angels to get involved, but like literally shower curtains moving in the middle of the shower, lights going on and off. And I had this flower vase, and not to make this sound crazy or evil or anything like that. It's just, there's all different types of energies. I had this beautiful long flower vase that I found lasered in half. And I was like, oh my God. And that was the last straw. I was like, person's got to go. So everything's energy for folks out there. And it's where you put your focus, where you put yourself, and you have much more control, authentic ability, power. I'm not sure ability. How about that? Michelle, can you talk to us and encourage us about how everything really is at your fingertips, but maybe you're going to want to say it's more here. Give us encouragement about how it really is at our feet. There's so many expressions here. Is it at our feet, our fingertips, or our heart? How do we look at all this?
All of it. It's everywhere. We can't that's very human of us. Let's compartmentalize this. Is it at our fingertips or our feet? No, it's everywhere. I want us to really think of spirit, source, the divine, angels, God, life guides, loved ones in spirit. Think of them in a way as the internet or as Google. It is all right there wanting to help you. Type your question in, ask, you're gonna get the answer. It is not judging you. It is not worried about what you had for dinner last night, or if you drank too much yesterday, or you smoked your cigarette today, or whatever this is. The answers are right there for all of us. This universe is based on love and compassion. Now, if you watch the news, you're probably not going to see that. But the reality is this universe is based on love and compassion. And so the support that we come in here with our spirit team, our pre-life planning and all of that, it's already right here at our fingertips, our head, our heart, our feet, our gut. It's all around us in this energy field, and we're able to tap into it at any moment. Some people like to write too. I want to throw that out there. Channeled writing, or some people like to write or journal, and they'll say, oh, this is when I get my best information or my insights. Absolutely. There's another way, because you're either connecting with your higher self, you're connecting with your angels, your spirit team, but you're channeling that information in.
And I always like to add, with all your schooling or all your workplaces or just all the use of the pen and pencil in the past, you're automatically comfortable holding that pen, and it puts you into more of a listening mode for those who are, resistant to the concept of this. But again, anyone can do this. And I like to bring up a modern example. We have so many devices, iPads, iPhones, you name it, that when people go to watch TV these days, if you had 5 family members together, there's going to be at least 3 that are on their iPhone, iPad in the middle of watching Hawaii Five-0 or Magnum PI. And so it's changed a little bit in that we're surfing constantly. We're doing other distraction stuff. We were doing it in a different form before. How do we recognize that it's less what we're saying on the show about angels, beings of light, mind-blowing answers, getting help on anything at any level of detail? How do we get it back to, it's actually so basic, it's in front of us, just getting off to the device and actually appreciating what we're doing in the moment, presence, that whole thing. Can you talk to us and pep talk us too on how do we slow down and recognize the difference between when we're up here and here?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So it is about being present in the moment. And I'll tell you, just from my life experience, every time I'm connecting with spirit and getting a message for myself or for my sitter or my client or anyone that's around me, it is in the very present moment. It's not into tomorrow. It's not in about worrying about yesterday. It is all happening right here, right now. And so when we look at something with intention and focus, that is where the answers are, right? So if you're looking at Instagram with intention and focus, you're going to see pictures. You're going to see what you're looking for. You're going to find what you're looking for. If you're Googling something and you want to find out like how do I make a chocolate cake? You're going to find that because your intention and focus is looking for that. So use your intention and focus to look for your connection to spirit, to look for your connection to the divine, and you will see that it shows up. We use our intention and focus regularly, just nobody knows how to do that, or well, not no one, but a lot of people don't know how to do that in their connection with spirit. Now, sometimes people feel like when they go to church, they have messages from source, divine, angels, loved ones, whatever coming in. Absolutely. But let me tell you why that is, because they have the intention that when I go to church, I'm going to get a message or I'm going to know what to do. And then they go there and they have that hour that they have set aside to focus, right? Because they know they're not doing anything else that week. Take an hour to set aside and focus with your intention for yourself on your own connection with source and see what happens if you do that once a week.
That's beautiful. I really like that. I mean, think about the habits. You can go for a walk. You might not be going for a walk. You've talked about it forever. This is cultivating your openness or opening openness or your connection to the divine, angels, universe. How about this? There's a lot of folks who are, we're going to get to stuck folks in just a second. The ones who are, it's over and over again. I can't find true love. I can't find a happy job. I'm having this, I'm having that happen, or it's happening to me, my health situation. I don't even know what love is. It could be anything where you're majorly stuck. And, you know, to the person that's going through that, it's legit. But for the moment, what are some basic habits we can cultivate that begin to open those channels of communication? I mentioned going for walks. Could you give us a few more little baby steps that if they just do it repetitively, odds are their angel team's going to be like, bravo. And then they're going to finish off the rest of the task there of connecting.
Yeah. How about this? This is pretty easy. We're supposed to brush our teeth for 2 minutes at a time. The whole time you're standing there brushing your teeth, I want you to set your intention. Here's my question. And don't think about anything. Just sit there. Focus on the movement of your hands, okay, around your mouth, and let the angels drop an answer into your head.
Oh, I like it.
2 minutes a day. There you go. Best 2 minutes might have the most important answer ever.
And I'll add the little bubbles at the sink, the little drain thing. Look and lose yourself in the bubbles if you want. I'm not trying to suggest look down, but you're brushing your teeth. You're doing her question and answer gig. But look at the little bubbles and see if you can have a Satori Samadhi, amazing oneness with all moment, because that's one of my biggest is those little bubbles. It could be the shower too. I love water. Water's my thing. Okay, now there's people running around stuck. They're convinced, but they stumbled onto the show. They stumbled onto this exact moment in Michelle Claire, michellclaire.net. And what would you tell them about, look, it's real at one level, but it's so much bigger. You're so much bigger. Finish the rest of that off and pep talk them on how change really happens, because they want to have stuff happen. They're like, hey, I want a better job. This job sucks and I'm in pain. But give us that how it all works.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute here. Some people like being stuck. Some people actually are happily miserable. Some people, right? Because some people identify, I'm always the victim. So number one, we have to bring awareness to this. I'm not here. Maybe they are and maybe they're not. I'm not actually worried about whether they are or not, but you need to ask yourself, you know, have I bought into this story that there is no soulmate for me? Have I bought into this story that I'll never make more than $20,000 a year? Have I bought into this story? And if I have, how does that serve me? Well, you know what? Sometimes these things do serve us, because if you're saying, I will never make more than $20,000 a year, you're not going to go look for another job. You might only work part-time, so you don't have to go work full-time. So there are ways that sometimes our stories are productive in our life. So number one, they have to want their story to change, okay? Because sometimes unconsciously, we don't want our story to change. So be aware.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, what is a saying, a request to the universe that we can all use as a mantra? We might not know what sort of change we want, but we just want better connections. We want to trust that we're being heard, and we want to ask for good wins for our sales on our journey ahead. How can we make a basic request? It's sort of being mindful in the moment, I would think, but if we did it 5 times a day, what are just a few beautiful words we can put out there that maybe centers us, grounds us, connects us? Give us some goods here. Well,
there are two that I use regularly. All is well, because in the scope of the universe and on a soul level, all is well. Your humanness might not be perceiving that at this moment. So that's one. And the other one that I really love is I'll always say this or better. So I save that one for my happy moments, right? When I'm eating like the best chocolate cake ever, I'm like, this or better, universe. When I get my winning lottery ticket, this or better, universe. When I meet the best friend ever, this or better, right? And so when I have readings that I'm like, oh my gosh, that was off the charts, this or better. So those are my two mantras that I go to regularly. And actually, you'll be amazed what they'll bring into your life.
This or better. I like that. Hey, so I wanted to mention, you had mentioned, there's a lot of different lingo, a lot of different teachings out there, a lot of different teachers, a lot of different cultures, religions, philosophies. I can give an example. Channeling, I had no concept of what the word meant 10 or 11 years ago, but I did service for a long time. I gave away service where I was still getting something in return. I was getting an education. And I was also having like a cab driver, a tip given my way. A person would ask, well, what does Michael do for people? And that's been answered like, I don't know, 700, 1,000 times. I was learning from each answer. So when a Native American chief said he channels, that was down at a Whole Foods headquarters in Austin, Texas. I had no clue what channeling meant. But by the time I did the 16-mile drive home, I was like, I channel. Okay. And I got comfortable with it. So there's a lot of lingo out there. People shouldn't be too worried about all that. But do you have like a recommendation for a couple of books that can break a person in on the path here of finding your heart, letting go, connecting to the universe more, and getting stuff done? Who do you recommend? Is there a film? Are you thinking about writing a book or putting something out? Tell us a little bit. Give us a hint. What's going on with you as well? But who would you steer people to for some resources before they just pick up the phone, call you, which is really the website, and reach out to you?
My go-to is Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks. I podcast, YouTube, whatever. They're little 10-minute snippets. If I'm having an off day where I feel like I'm out of whack, I will listen to a little 10-minute, podcast, and I am right back in. So that is the first place for people to go to. Now, I will say, if you're not familiar with this world, it might sound like she's speaking a foreign language at first. Give it a little bit of time, because once you settle in, it's like suddenly it all makes sense.
I love it. And she does hit, I've been to, I happen to be in San Antonio now, but I was in Austin at the time, and I came down to attend one of her seminars, and it's fantastic. There's also a chair at the center. If you're lucky enough, or however you want to put it, to be featured in that chair, she addresses your issues point blank. You're like, I don't have a job. How do I get a job? She listens, and she, I think she's, the way I phrase Abraham Hicks is a little bit of like a light being circle, angelic a little bit, but to me, more light beings. Very broad, very beautiful advice. A big reminder that you're eternal, limitless, full of possibility, and to co-create, to use her lingo. Okay, so talk to us about co-creating. What does that mean? How do we actually, we're okay with the concept that we've got invisible helpers who don't want to interfere, and there's a lot that can be tapped into. Talk to us about the concept of like manifesting, co-creating, making stuff happen, bringing our dreams in, but going big, how we don't limit ourselves. Remind us about that too.
Yeah. So for me, that's really in a daydream type energy, right? And we do have to take steps. So let's say if all you can imagine is making a maximum of $10,000 a year, it's pretty hard to imagine being a millionaire. Okay. Because we have to be able to at least somewhat feel it and feel comfortable with it in our energy, right? Body, mind, spirit. And so if I've only made 10,000, I cannot imagine what it's like to be a millionaire. But what I can do now is like, okay, what would it feel like to make 100,000 and start getting comfortable with that energy? What would it feel like to make 500,000, right? And so we've got to energetically get somewhat comfortable with what we want to manifest, but we also need to daydream about it, have that idea, and give it to the universe and let the universe work its magic. Because human Michelle will say, oh, it can only happen through either channel 1, 2, 3. And the universe laughs and says, are you kidding? We have 1,000 ways we can bring this to you. So it's not that I have to do the work to figure it out. My job is to be able to energetically hold that dream or that vision, to daydream it, and then hand it to the universe for that to happen.
I love that. And there's a New Zealand healer who's been on this series. who talks about when you imagine walking on a beach because you want to end up in a beach setting someday, maybe relocating. She talks about feeling the grains of sand, the wetness of the ocean lapping against your feet. But could you give us more concrete examples where, pretend somebody's nowhere near the ocean, they don't want to live by the ocean, and they're thinking more just paycheck to paycheck. How can they feel good about bringing in more income or expansion in that front? Is it they think about what the feeling is when they open up the envelope and get a paycheck, the bank account, the visual of a bank account, or a visual of spending extra dollars they don't have right now, so they're trying to bring in more dollars? Can you give us just a couple basic ones that cover the bases, that we're actually putting ourselves in the right place, envisioning the right way? Because if you haven't done it and you haven't been practicing it, it can seem like a leap of faith, religious, non-religious.
Right.
Talk us through taking a couple of those steps in a much more concrete level, if it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's focus on money. So number one, when you get that paycheck, whether it's 1 cent or $1 million, let's have gratitude for it, because gratitude is a huge building block for the universe. And what that does is that magnetically starts to bring more to us. So gratitude, whether it's 1 cent or $1 million, right? When we pay our bills, if we learn to have gratitude, I just paid this bill. I didn't really want to, but I have gratitude that I paid it, right? Sink into the gratitude that you had, the gratitude that you were able to pay it. So start with gratitude on small things. Also start seeing abundance around you everywhere. So even if that means you go to the grocery store and you have to park really far away, you say to yourself, I just took abundance of steps to get here. When you see a tree, see the abundance of leaves, the abundance of blades of grass. We literally live in an abundant universe. And when we start looking for abundance, hey, I mean, it's everywhere. Even if you are like, maybe you have a few dogs and you're like, there's an abundance of dog crap in my backyard that needs picked up. Yes, there's an abundance, right? But start seeing abundance everywhere, and that will bring it in. Because abundance is everywhere in this universe. Money is only energy. So let's start thinking about it as energy. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It's just energy. So what we want to do is get our energy to the level where it comes in. Money actually tends to be the energy of blessings. Think about the world we live in. Money is unlimited. Most of our money is digital. It's not even like handheld money anymore, right? It's truly, we live now in a world where money is more unlimited than it had ever been. And so knowing that, we can actually start opening up with gratitude that my share is right here and ready to come in.
That's incredible. That's a nice clean slate approach about money. Is money really just an extension of you being in your heart, no limits, comfort zone, abundance, gratitude, appreciation, allowing? Talk to us again, just one more reinforcing message that if you're doing your unique life path, you're doing your thing. You might only view yourself as a salesperson and you're just great at getting yeses, but that's one part of the pie, and you were thinking about living more in other ways, and you're not equating that all moments can be the same. Talk to us a little bit more about how money is just an extension of energy, and so is everything else. More love coming in. Right.
Yeah. So absolutely it is. Let's talk about this for just a second. A lot of times what people do is we have this thing called ancestors, and they have their own trauma and their own limiting beliefs. And us in our human form, we honor them by carrying on their limiting beliefs for them. So sometimes people are limiting themselves, where they say, hey, my dad made X amount of dollars, therefore, and this might be a subconscious thought, I can never make more than him because I wouldn't want him to feel bad. This is where my family stays at. We've had this job for years, whatever that is, right? So we are unconsciously limiting ourselves, or maybe consciously limiting ourselves, due to feeling like we need to honor our ancestors by doing that. So sometimes money comes in on that level. We also, listen, the energy of money, no one here actually has their own relationship with money. We have a relationship with money that we've either adopted from our mom, our dad, or some other influential figure in our life as we were a child and growing up. So if you had a parent that was always like, there's never enough, we're not going to make it, you might have adopted that attitude. If you were raised with a parent who's like, oh, there's always enough, there won't be more than enough, but there's always enough, you're probably finding that in your life. And if you were raised with a parent that had abundance and never even worried about money, you probably adopted that attitude. So notice, where is your money energy coming from? Because most likely you picked up this belief from one of your ancestors, and then you need to figure out, does this work for me today in my life? So it's okay that, listen, a lot of our grandparents went through the Great Depression, or right, so that wasn't that long ago. So the generations that are here now, especially my generation, your generation, right, we're learning to navigate that because we're breaking that belief system. I know for like my grandmother, all they had to eat was flour and water pancakes. They didn't even have eggs to add to it, right? So saving everything they could just to buy the flour to mix with the water. So there is true trauma in my ancestral line around money, just like there probably is in most people's, depending on who they are and what their background is. But what we can say is like, okay, I honor that. I honor that that was really hard. I honor that she was really scared, that she was afraid there wouldn't be enough money. But in my life today, I'm going to have abundance. And that's actually not betraying her to honor that. That's glorifying her and actually truly honoring her, to say, I love you, Grandma. You went through a really hard time. You chose a really hard period in life to be here. And to honor you, I will be successful and abundant.
So this is a kind of a, I don't know how to say this. This is a different type of question. I don't think I've ever asked anything like this before, but you've got your grandmother around, you've got your grandfather around. They're reconciled to whatever degree. Have they shifted a little bit on the money so that they're just go, Michelle, go? Or are some of those residual feelings still with them, but they are now in a much more loving position? That, I mean, I'm sure they were loving on this side, but are they much just like, yeah, go, and they give you good advice? Or is there a little bit of the residual energy there? How do you describe it when it comes to your ancestral relations? Also, talk to us about any part of that money journey for you, accepting the gifts, but accepting the reward as well for all the hard work you've done for others.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting. Both of my grandparents clearly lived through the Depression, but my grandfather, he was fine spending money. My grandmother was much more reserved. Got to save it, got to save it. And I literally remember when she was in hospice on her deathbed, and when I was in college, she started having my mom write checks to people because she finally got to the point where I can't take it with me. I'm not going to need it, and started giving it away. So I got to witness her life come full circle, which was really incredible because we don't usually get to see something like that, especially when we're talking with money, right? Now what I feel is my grandfather is always like, go get it. You can do it. Go get it. I mean, but that's how he was in human form. And my grandma's more energetically open and like, yeah, there is, she feels like there is abundance. I just didn't know. Yeah.
Beautiful again. Okay, so you've had 3 near-death experiences. Before we get into 11-1-11.
Yeah, we have one before that.
Yeah, and then yeah, 2000, 2006. You described 2000, the seizure at the hospital. So we haven't done 2006. Do you have a preference on which one you want to cover next?
I think we should stay with the chronological order and do
2006. Do chronological, yes. Okay, what happened in 2006?
Okay, so in 2006, it was May of 2006. I had my son, who's my youngest child, 6 weeks before that. And after I had him, I had multiple complications. I was in the hospital about 4 of the 6 weeks on IV antibiotics. They were doing scans. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So finally they said, look, we need to do a D&C, which is a process that they do to clear out the uterus. And they said, you'll be fine. It's a 45-minute outpatient procedure and you'll go home that night and everything will be great. The night before, I have this rock of, oh gosh, I shouldn't do this in my stomach, right? Gut intelligence, there it is. And I knew I should not go through with this, but they had told me, easy, 45 minutes, you're going home. Hey, like, who doesn't want to buy that, right? That's a good deal. So I went in the next day, talked to the doctor, talked to the anesthesiologist. They both confirmed for me, easy, piece of cake, you'll be out of here, done in 45 minutes. So, okay, so I went in. I do remember counting backwards for the anesthesiologist, and I'd been under anesthesia before. Whenever I've had it in the past, it was just a blank. It was a dark space. It wasn't dark as in bad energy. It was just nothingness is what I would say. I don't remember dreams. I didn't have visions. This time, what I remember is I'm laying on the gurney in the operating room. I look over, my beautiful 102-pound white German Shepherd named Tahoe, who had passed a couple years before, walks into the operating room, lays her head on the gurney, looks at me, gives me her little puppy smile, and we're gone. And we are on this phenomenal beach. And we are running on this beach, and I notice that the sand feels like clouds. I notice each drop of the ocean is radiating light and love. Every plant, every flower, every leaf, every cell. I mean, it is all just light and love. And we're here in this timeless space because I become aware. It's just each breath, each step. There was nothing more, nothing before, nothing after. It was truly the first time I had ever been present in the present moment. Like I said, nothing before and nothing after. And as I look at my beautiful dog, she's about 1.5 years, 2 years old. We're having telepathic communication. She's happy I'm there. She's glowing. She's young. She's healthy. And I am just in awe. And the funny thing is, like I told you earlier, I don't run. Like I tell my friends, if you see me running, call 911, right? That's an emergency. That's not me. Here I am in this near-death experience, just running and running on the beach. And I did notice at some point, gosh, we're not getting hot. We're not getting tired. We're not getting thirsty. Like, it was amazing. As I'm on the beach with her, I can feel my son, who was 6 weeks old and at home with my parents, calling to me energetically because he knew I was getting ready to leave. And so I learned in this one that our soul can be in more than one place at a time. So there was part of me that stayed on the beach with my beautiful dog. There was this other part of me that went to my son. And he was scared because I was leaving and he was new here, right? He's new on planet Earth. And I said to him, I said, I will find a way to stay. I'm not going to leave you. And I start praying because I don't know why. That's just what I did. I started praying. I said, it's not my time. I need help. The next thing I know, I'm back in the operating room. I feel Jesus come in, who came in very much as my friend. I'm here. Let me help you. The operating room lit up with this golden white light. And the next thing I know, I'm waking up in post-op. And my 45-minute procedure had been a 3.5-hour emergency surgery because they had ruptured my uterus in 2 places and missed my aorta by 1 millimeter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's switch this up a little bit. I am going to blow some sage your way. We're going to do this a little bit early. And folks who've watched the show before have seen this. I just light some sage smoke. We generate, that was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful recounting for us. So thank you for that, Michelle.
You're
I light
welcome.
sage. I get this from Whole Foods headquarters, Juniper Ridge. It's on my website, michaelandreford.com. If you've never been to the website, red-tailed hawk feather. And we did this before the show. I've done this for all the guests. I've done this as a guest on shows last year, probably 20 times. And so it's a little bit of smoke, but it's back to the point of, are you going to be on your device, which could be perfectly good in the middle of watching Hawaii Five-0 Magnum PI, or are you going to be present in your heart? Somehow there's something up here, there's something here. It's up to you to figure out what feels good when you're more aware, more happy, less obstacles, versus what's up here. So give yourself permission to smell sage smoke. In this case, let it lighten you up. If anybody's crying right now watching Michelle, let them be happy tears. Smell the sage wherever you are in the world right now. A little bit of sage smoke. There's no time or space. Probably a good idea if I have it on screen. So there's a little bit of sage smoke. Michelle, are you catching the scent of sage?
Absolutely.
Good. Can you ask angels to bring maybe a little extra smell, the ocean of Maui, flowers, something to lighten you up so that you get tidied up energetically? I'm misty-eyed over here, so I'm buying time for you and me to recover. Okay. And if anyone wants to play this over, I've got other videos too, or other shows, whatever help you need for letting go. It's up to you to find the way to let go. Michelle, what's the advice for a person, a very basic request, to ask angels to help them get out of here to get into here? Do you have a surefire one that you use to ask angels to help you?
Yep, it's pretty easy. I put my hands on my heart and I say, what does my heart say?
What does my heart say? I like that. And I only have one bit of rule and structure besides pen and paper is nice. I think, and I'm not even, I forget it all the time. Angels, get me out of my head, into my heart. Make this nice. Amen. Rock and roll. Thank you. If you're from India and you like Sai Baba, Om Sai Ram. Can I do an impromptu exercise? We're going to do some angel photographs of angels later. I want to jump in before we do 2011. So hopefully
Okay.
we stay emotionally intact on that one.
We will.
Yes, but I'm going to put my mom and dad's historical photo up. Now, my dad died in 1970 when I was 2. It was his time to go. He just turned 25, 26. I should keep that straight. That's his flag. Navy aviator type in an F4. 2 people went down. It was, again, his time to go off of Italy, Naples, USS Roosevelt, the aircraft carrier. He was in the Black Aces. That's 1970. Flash forward to 1998. He was interred, if that's the right expression, in Arlington. They shut down all 3 airports. It made the front page of the Washington Post above the fold. No body recovered, so just a flag in the caisson, the carriage. So my mom had passed when I turned 23, so I was sitting in her seat. I got the flag, and she was an artistic, very petite woman, 5'4", Barb. And then my dad had the same name, Michael André Ford Sr., very proper, gentleman-like, knew he was going to go early. So I'm going to show a photo of them young. Hundreds of people have seen them point blank. You might need to be at a Walmart, a Target, football field, and it's going to be 80 yards away, so you're more comfortable. The psyche wants to get in the way, but they've chatted with folks. They're reconciled, so this is they give great advice. My mom's very bubbly and sparkly, but here's Barb and Mike Sr. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to relay anything, I already got messages from them earlier this week, so I'm 100% good if we don't. But if Mike Sr.'s coming through, or Barb, the artist, and very good at connecting people, let us know anything you're getting from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear your dad say, keep going. So he is not a quitter. He would never throw in the towel. So your mom comes into with this creative energy, like you said, where she's going to help you bring in some new things that you weren't expecting, new ideas, new peers, new colleagues. It's going to be pretty fun. She's showing me painting bright colors, but your dad is just saying, and this is keep going kind of in every area of your life, right? So we very often find places where we feel stuck or it's not moving fast enough. Your dad, not a quitter, I will tell you that. And his energy says, just keep going. And also he's telling me to tell you, look at things as stepping over ant hills. Nothing's a mountain. Everything's an ant hill. Step over the ant hill. Keep going.
Agreed. It has been a very interesting 11-year journey. It's part of my course. It's stay the course is what I constantly hear. If there's a top 10 refrain in my list, it's stay the course. And now the rewards coming from all the hard work put in, I've set the course. So it's time to allow, the fruition of part of the journey to come in. Now for you, you're on the same, I don't want to say parallel necessarily, but we're all on a journey. You're definitely on a healing journey. You're on a business journey. You've treated it like a business. You've given yourself, you treat yourself in a worthy fashion. You've given yourself the respect to own it like a business. You run it like a business. You've helped a lot of folks. You're very organized on this front. Where are, out of your top 10 refrains, some of them you can't share out loud because it's your private world. What's 1 or 2 of them that you constantly get as a refrain? It might be your higher self, your soul kicking in and saying, Michelle, you were just in the middle of that bite of lasagna, and you hear yourself say, and remember this. What are your refrains that you're getting these days?
Yeah, well, guess what? I'm sorry to share this. I find I have limiting beliefs, just like all humans.
Okay, so give us, without telling us what the limiting belief is, you can give it a fruit name: bananas, papaya, blueberry, or you can say love life, career, or I'm only making X and I wanted it to be 5 times X, so it's financial. You can give it a fruit name, which is, I'm going to recommend everybody, if you say papaya, you know what papaya is, universe knows what papaya is, but you don't have to. Often when we even approach the topic, we're limiting ourselves further.
Right.
What is the topic that's the thing for you? But again, don't forget cantaloupe, papaya, watermelon. Every seed, it's 40 cousins and every seed is a cousin. So watermelon covers it pretty well.
I think I would go with watermelon because
Okay.
It feels like, I know, I'm like, let's go big here. For me, what I will say is, like, I had a friend invite me to go to Bali for a retreat. And I'm like, I can't go. And she's like, why not? And I was like, well, I don't know, but I'm sure I can't. I got to think of all my reasons why I can't go. Oh, money, time, distance, right? And so for me, it's just kind of like Could I go? Actually, I could. I could make that happen. I could start saving. I could get someone to stay with the kids. I could do, there are a million things I could do. But in my own life, for some reason, my answer is like, oh, I can't do that. And then when I sit down, I'm like, wait, I can do that.
Okay, I'm actually going to bring in a photo of the angel Joy, who's the very first angel people meet. She's an ambassador, communicator, high peppy voice. What does Joy say about watermelon? She's not going to give away the goods on what watermelon is for you, but just 3 pieces of advice, because they're usually pretty universal. It might apply to cantaloupe and blueberry. People out there are like, oh no, I'm squash. I'm going to buck the trend. It's my cousin Joe. He's asking me for money all the time. I'm calling it squash. What's the 3 pieces of advice for Joy to you that you could share out loud on just easing up when it comes to watermelon?
Well, the first one was hilarious. She told me I should try getting a seedless watermelon. So I will take that. She also told me try eating other fruit, which to me, the energy of that is right. Give yourself room to try new things and have other ideas. And she said the word habit. So truly what I do when I sink into that is I'm sinking into a habit. Oh, I can't do that. Why? I have to ask myself why, because actually when I ask why, I can do that. So notice how much of what our thought process is a habit and not a reality. Huge difference.
I love it. And one's here, one's up here. And we've talked fruits and technically vegetables, squash. So let's flip the pancake and let's have Michelle get put on the spot. This is easy for you. Ask her to bring you an ocean smell of a beach you should go to. And maybe you're organizing the trip. And if you're thinking finances or time and commitments and you're a mom with a lot of demands going on, you always have a busy schedule. So here's something about that busy schedule, by the way, because the second you flip that pancake, you're going to find yourself with more free time. What do? Sitting on a beach somewhere. Where's the beach she's recommending for you? And catch that smell in the air, if you would, all around you. Take 4 or 5 big breaths. Anybody out there, you can share in Michelle's beach if she gives you permission and Joy helps out.
Absolutely.
Start breathing in, and there's no time and space. So it doesn't matter through 2 screens. Where's your geographical location of this beach? Mexico, Canary Islands?
Yeah, I'm in Tulum.
Ah, nice.
Never been there, but I guess I'm going.
Okay, we'll pull back. We'll do some more angels in a second. Are we ready to talk 11/1/11, which is November 1st? Yeah, I did this right. November 1st, 2011. Michelle had a 3rd near-death experience. Can the audience handle the details, or are we going to do this short Cliff Notes version?
We can all handle the details because I survived. So here I am to share it. So we're good, people. It's going to end good. Let's go with that. Okay. So 11/1/11. I have 14-foot ceilings in my house. I was up about 12 feet off the ground. I have battery operated candles. And, you put in the little batteries, they glow every night, turn off by themselves. 2 of my 3 kids were home, the younger 2. And I said to them, as soon as I get this candle back up where it goes, we're going to go get your sister from school. I climb up to the top of the ladder. I'm probably about 10 feet, 12 feet off the ground. I feel it start to shift. And all I could think is, oh, this is going to hurt. And as I thought that, Michael, this is a good place for you to say, I want to be aware. I don't need to feel that. Okay.
I want to be aware. I don't want to feel what a ladder feels like falling over.
Exactly. Just aware, not feeling it. No empaths here. Okay. So as I was up there and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to hurt. I'm absolutely ripped out of my body, but not in a painful way, in a fast way. And I am turned around, facing my body and the ladder suspended in the air. And I am standing with these 3 people who I had never met before, but they felt like close family or friends. I felt like I knew them very well. It was an Asian man, an Egyptian woman, and a Hawaiian man. And they basically looked at me and they were like, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay or do you want to go? And I was kind of just, once again, I'm in this timeless space. I'm in this bliss. I'm looking at my body suspended in the air. And I was thinking in my mind, this is really interesting. Like, I had forever to decide, did I want to stay or did I want to go? Forever. And in my mind, I was trying to understand how that worked because my body was going to hit the floor in less than a second. So I was just kind of in this space, right? And as I'm in this space, I see this beautiful angel come in, not Madeline from my first one, a different angel. This angel is dressed in gold and red. And the minute I see this angel, I know, oh, this angel is here to either take me home or make something happen so that I can stay longer. So as I was in this space, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Later on, I find out these are my 3 life guides, but life guide was not even a word in my vocabulary. So I didn't know who they were. I just thought they were nice people standing there to help me out. So I turn and I see my younger 2 kids right there in the kitchen with me, which they were. And the minute I see them, I decide I need to stay. And as I make this decision, I'm absolutely downloaded with information. Okay, Michelle, being a stay-at-home mom is not your only purpose. We expect more from you. We want you to do your mediumship now. We want you to do your healing work and help people the way that you can. They told me that my marriage probably wouldn't survive this because, and what I know now is most people who come back from NDEs end up in divorce because you literally cannot come back the same person. And somebody's like, hey, but I married you and you're not that person anymore. It's true. So anyway, I chose to stay. I still find that information that was given to me that day gets revealed with time. So I don't feel like I remember it all, but I'll be going along my day and I'll have oh, they said that. And I had forgotten about it, but it kind of like pops up in my memory again. I ended up falling and I hit the back of my head on the corner of my granite island. So I had a 5.5-inch skull fracture, a brain bleed. I lost my taste, my smell, part of my hearing, my equilibrium. But I survived that fall by 1/2 inch because when they took me to the hospital and did the CAT scan, I had missed my brainstem by 1/2 inch, which was the difference of me getting to stay or getting to go.
Okay, so we're going to go straight to an angel who will tidy up everybody's energy. Now, just a quick reminder to stall and let everybody get their composure. All you have to do is ask to be in your heart. You're in your heart half the day, but you don't give yourself credit for being there. So a little request right now. You all have angels and guides. These are unconditional love beings. They don't want to interfere unless you ask. I mean, think of it this way. You have a cousin, you have a friend, a dad teaching how to ride a bike to a kid. If the dad's on the bike the whole time, odds are the kid's not learning how to ride a bike. You get the best experience when you're getting an experience. That says it all. But what experience are you giving yourself? That you can ask yourself. That's what do you allow for? What are you doing? How are you flowing your energy? Is it through up here or up here? Sometimes you're wasting energy. I hate to break the news. Okay, now, Charlotte happens to be one of my business managers, Archangel Michael and Rebecca. Oh my God, I almost forgot my third one. Okay, now Charlotte, when I pass, she's the one that'll carry me over. Hopefully it's not a near-death experience. I'm getting carried over, returned in my sleep. That's what I hear. Let's do Charlotte. She's a teacher. If it's 3rd form, you're in Canada, Australia, 3rd grade, Mrs. Wilson, whoever you remember as being super nice. She's here with words meant to help us expand. Can you have her just give you a little insight? This you're not going to share about 2011, private to you. Just get a little insight and tell us, though, you got it, and get 3 beautiful hugs with the 3rd being a big whopper up and down your back. And if you need a slap in the back of the head in a gentle, loving way that makes you laugh, but not touching the wounded area from 2011. Get a huge reassurance so that you get something out of the show today, even though I know you already have. You love sharing with everyone because sharing's caring. But now get a message for us all why a near-death experience doesn't, it's not the point of the exercise. Some of us signed up for crazy stuff, right, or extreme stuff. It gets us to pay attention, gives us a bigger foundation and a bigger healing path for others. What does she have for all of us?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be extreme for you to stay on your life plan. So we are given a million options a day, a million moments a day where we can say, hey, I want to make this choice. I want to follow my heart. I want to follow my soul. I want to follow my passion. So it does not have to be something, a near-death experience, a car accident, whatever this is. It doesn't have to be anything like that. You can actually choose in a gentle moment to honor yourself and follow your life path. You don't have to choose in just a hard one.
Now, are you ready to receive a compliment in front of eventually millions for this? It might be another 3 years before we get 2 million views, but are you ready to get a compliment from an angel that you might share out loud with us? How brave you are, how bold, how cutting edge, no matter what it feels like, you know, all the other fronts. Get a beautiful compliment from Charlotte, but if you would either get a beach smell, flowers, or something extra that says, wow, and even you get caught off guard a little bit. And then what can you share out loud for what you just received from Charlotte?
Okay, well, I wasn't expecting that. She said that on a soul level, it was all effortless for me.
No, that's good. That's good. And I'm going to share a war story. I don't really like that. I'm going to share an angel story, which is Starbucks. I don't even know when this is, 2012-ish, Austin, Texas, Northwest Austin, up by Lake Travis. There's a beautiful Starbucks, but you know how those tables are. In the old days, it used to be a high round table. And sitting with a book editor for Glow Stick Zen, we're sitting there. And then in my mind's eye memory, it's 200 feet away, but no Starbucks is even that big. It's probably just 15, 20 feet away. There are those bar wooden tables at the windows that you sit up tall, you look out, you're supposed to people watch out the window. There are great seats all the time. Well, there's this one woman who's facing the wrong way towards us and dressed out of place. Santa Fe, New Mexico garb, white flowing stuff, turquoise jewelry, look like Audrey Hepburn's sister, elegant, and all she's doing is sipping coffee, staring at moi the whole time. Now, ask her about that one. If you want, close your eyes, get a vision of it. And then how is it a lesson for us all that we're being cared for? I was supposed to bookmark that was Charlotte. And just to make everybody laugh and to buy Michelle a little bit of time as she's getting a little mini download, we'll call it. I ask the important questions. When angels are here in full-on human form, yes, that's possible. If you want to ask for that and allow for it, give it 2 to 3 weeks. It might be the postman, the stranger opening the coffee shop door with sparkly eyes. You might have one of your angels pop in, but you got to ask for this stuff. So I asked the big picture questions. Do angels drink the coffee when they're here? And the answer was yes. So I had to share that as a tangent. Okay, what's Charlotte given you as a kind little gift for us all? A reminder on?
Oh my gosh, that we see angels every day. Every
and
day.
Sometimes it's only a portion of the person. They're getting an extra huge unconditional love flow through them and they're sparkly eyed. Everything in between from just a photograph, not just a photograph. She'll move and change colors for you and so on. Now I had another angel. We jumped into the angel thing pretty quick. I wanted to just get you Claire, who's resilience, because you have run the bases here in a grand slam. Well, not quite a grand slam. 3, first, second, and third base. Okay.
Next one's the grand slam.
Yeah. Okay. Here's Claire, resilience. And if people want to put their hand out to the screen and feel the high vibe, they can do that through 2 screens. They don't have to just smell sage or flowers or ocean. But what are you getting from Claire?
Well, the resilience is right there in your soul. And the truth is that none of us ever die. So we're all resilient, whether we're connecting with that or not.
Okay, so Joseph Campbell talks about eternal, temporal. You know, if you're here, you're very time, space oriented. There's eternal, but even he said eternal is not forever, but I'm forgetting the bigger word that was like bigger, and it was a beautiful word as well. But eternal is pretty good. For our imagination, eternal is plenty. Talk to us about the bigger picture, eternal, love, 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 love.
Yeah, all of this is about love, actually, right? This planet Earth. So our souls are eternal. With that being said, I do believe that at some point in time, your soul was created by the divine, whatever we want to call the divine. And I believe at that moment, there is almost a virtue that is spoken into your soul. So for me, I feel like it was light. So whenever I'm facing a challenge with light, it will go more smoothly for me. For some people, it's love. For some people, it's, you know, persistence and different things like this. But as we go through life, I do believe in reincarnation. So we do choose to come back. Each life is an add-on. So you find people that have many amazing qualities, but we're adding them on in each lifetime. We are not forced to come back. It's not a punishment. You don't come back as a cricket if you were a jerk last time. You know, I mean, this is really about your soul's evolving and continual growth. So when we think of the scope of eternity, listen, after 200 years of sitting on the beach, you might say like, maybe there's something else to do here, right? 200 years of hiking in the mountains or whatever your idea of that heavenly realm is, you're going to get a little bit restless probably. And you're going to say, hey, I'm going to pick my 5 best friends or my 10 best friends. We're going to plan, we're going to pick a game of life. We're going to suit up in our human suits and we're going to go in and we're going to give it our best shot. Because we know on a soul level that if we have eternity, 100 years on planet Earth is the blink of an eye.
Beautiful. So growth and expansion never stops. It's easy to get hung up on our laurels, our failures, our successes, on this type of relationship, lack. I mean, there's a million ways not to be in your heart, not to allow for more growth. When you look at a lot of the experts out there, they've at least brought us the concept of awareness. But anytime you want, you could declare this, declare that, declare this, declare that, and slap a huge label on everything and have an excuse to not allow for all of us to grow. I remember I did ask one big picture question once. So I got to cheat. Dale, an angel who looks like Greg Kinnear, if you want to have to picture him some way. He said, if you don't know who Greg Kinnear is, actor, think George Clooney, not his first choice. Blue Hawaiian shirt, the navy blue with the white flowers. I might grab his photo for you in a second. He coached an Olympic athlete who won a bunch of golds, but it wasn't about that. It was about following her life path, action and so on. Okay, so labels versus allowing for further growth. I just wanted to mention one thing, and I lost what the thought was. So we'll come back to that in just a second. Here's my guardian angel, Min, the Lakota word for water, Lakota Sioux word for water. See what you can get from her for just, she's light waves of energy and water, but she's also very professorial. So I think she's going to have something to add to what you just talked about for how much more love awaits us all the second we give this a chance.
Absolutely. She's talking about going with the flow. So when we go with the flow in our life, we're actually opening up to more abundance, more love, less resistance, and following our life path. So she's saying, notice, like if you feel like you keep hitting a wall, hello, you are hitting a wall. Turn around, go with the flow, get on that little lazy river, or whatever that is, and go for that ride. Because when we're in our flow, we're going to get to exactly where our soul wants to go.
Oh, I love it. How can we all trust that everything is a-okay this very second, even though the details and reason up here, everything that we know, all our past conditioning, our bank account, everything. How do we trust that we're a-okay and exactly where we need to be right this second, in spite of all the facts aligned and all of our friends telling us this, us telling ourselves stuff? How do we juxtapose that whole big enchilada?
Well, honestly, look at this very second. I am sitting in a heated house in Arizona. I have electricity, I have water, I have plumbing, I have a bed, I have clothes, I have food. I'm actually okay in this very second. I'm better than okay, right? Truly, most people, if you bring it into the present moment, you actually are okay where you are. Now, this isn't true, right, for the Ukraine or places where maybe they're being attacked right now. But most people are okay in this moment. So if you can get yourself to a place where you can actually just sit down and say, actually, in this moment, I'm okay, then we can take that energy and spread it out through our life. So if I'm okay in this moment, I'll be okay in the next one.
And I found angels always have an incredible way and an incredibly new way of saying anything, anytime that's totally inspirational. They could take anything. I've asked the definition of compassion. There's no two definitions that have been the same. Not that they wouldn't give it to you the same definition 10 minutes later just to make you laugh. They've got a great sense of humor. But if you asked 50 angels a day for 30 years, you might not ever get a identical definition of what compassion is. So I had to use that. But when it came to homelessness, that was another one of the big picture questions I must have asked 7 years ago. Don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I was just poking the bear a little. But I heard, what an adventure. And I was like, okay. And I hadn't thought of it that way. And wow.
And I heard freedom when you said that. Because look, you don't have to show up at a job at 9 o'clock on Monday. You don't have to pay a mortgage. You don't have to pay a utility bill. I mean, so there's a lot there.
To that point about compassion, literally, I had gotten a lot of answers on what is ego, waste of energy. Ego is blocking love. That was another answer from Mary, the big Mary, who we had been chatting with together before the show. But Jesus said compassion, it's open eyes and an open heart. Archangel Raphael said compassion is releasing fears and judgments. Abe, the Abraham of old, said not judging, taking action with no thought. That's his definition of compassion. And then just to do one more, Dale, just being and trusting the outcome to be of the highest intent for all. Now, that's a crazy concept because Mother Teresa at one point said, compassion is not dependent on any one person's happiness. And I thought, wow, does that make you stop in your tracks and appreciate what compassion is? So let's go big in some sort of a big picture way. Soul's path, compassion, how we constantly are setting limits with our words and our structure and what we think we know, which, by the way, changes all the time. You don't have to be into the angel, I just kicked a sandal all the way against the wall. you don't have to be into spirituality, angels, guides, your grandfather being there to not be able to acknowledge that your thinking totally changes all the time. It limits all the time. And what you knew 10 years ago is clearly what you don't know now. So something's up with all this, and how the heart is much more adept at navigating life, and you have a lot more fun. All your living moments are there. Here's Dale. Just think of him as a life coach, not just an athletic coach. And let me see if I can get his face to, there we go. And he's from really far out, but he's really down to earth and very endearing. And I'll try to remember to share a Nantucket story of him popping in as an angel a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
he's speaking to compassion. And he's saying it starts within. So if you can't find compassion for yourself, how will you ever find it for someone else?
Deep. And I had a word, he's kicking. I had some sort of expression I never say. When I worked for the Nantucket Police Department, like a rent-a-cop, I was out of options. It was the summer of 1990. I really wanted to work in Nantucket during the 9 months with my mom before I was born. I was there. Family members who've worked there, lived there, stepfather side of the family as well. Before real life kicked in, I wanted to go back there and spend some time. And it was 1990. It was like a mini recession. I forget what it's called. Recession. So jobs are gone. I've had restaurant experience. There's none of that to be had. You can't be a dishwasher. Landscaping, no way. I'm in the Nantucket Police Department expecting to be able to get a parking permit. My parents are like, hey, you're off the island very shortly if you don't get a job. I hear a door slam, door slam, door slam, and a final door slams. A guy in a fisherman's like commercial comes out. Yellow, slicker, police uniform, bearded, looks like a thin Santa. And he violently slams the door, and he's obviously just quit. And it was peaceful, bulletproof glass, dispatcher. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, first time I was ever publicly funny, but I swear an angel helped me out. I jerked my thumb up in the air after he left the lobby. And I said, does that mean there's a job opening here? There's nothing on the island anywhere. I'm about to get kicked off the island. And the dispatcher, quick as a whip, was like, yeah, actually, he just quit. Do you want an interview with the chief? And I'm in front of him and I'm really hard. It's my opportunity for growth. Instead of saying my problem is, I don't remember names and street names. Oh my God. My opportunity for growth is people's names and street names. So I'm telling the chief, I'm going to get this down. And later I got to do mountain bike patrol, and no helmet. It was lost back in the days where the lawyers hadn't taken over.
Right.
So long story short, no salary whatsoever. I mean, like I was eating out of cans every third night. I'm at Henry's sandwich shop, and Henry also has another thin Santa. Nantucket must have a lot of thin Santas. So it's a really happy guy, Henry, who owns the place. He runs the place. I paid for my sandwich, but I can't afford the brownie. They just aren't paying you enough to afford the brownie. And so It's really Dale who comes up, winks, and sticks a brownie in my bag. And I remember twice that happened that summer, and I'm sitting under a tree, having my lunch break, munching on a brownie, and I've never been happier in all my life. And you can ask Dale about that, but he's shown up on the trails of Austin. You can have your guides, your angels show up much more around you. One time on the trail, I only saw half his torso. Maybe it was the upper half, lower half, but there were tree branches in the way. And then when I went sprinting to see if someone was there, no one was there. So you can hear, what does he say about asking for angels' help? Just listening more nighttime, first thing in the morning, or even seeing angels out and about?
He says it's a wasted resource if you're not using it.
Oh my God. So here we've just heard it from Michelle Clare. That's Michelle with 2 L's. The normal way you'd spell it, Michelle, Clare, CLARE. And that is what she does for people. She brings clarity in. So it's michellclaire.net. And you just heard that angels, if you're not using them, if you're not at least one way talking to them, you don't have to listen if you view this as scary. It's a wasted resource. And also, let's go back to the biggest wasted resource. If you're not here a little more often, angels told me last year, 2 years ago, I can't keep anything straight. It was Charlotte. 7% less thinking a week is the Olympic gold medal for just letting go. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. You don't have to be Michelle Clare tomorrow overnight and write a New York Times bestseller. You just need to pump the brakes on what you think you know long enough to take a breath. And here's Charlotte again, back to the point of how easy this is. What's a simple reminder for everybody from Charlotte on how just to pump the brakes on the thinking part, the human part, and to focus a little more on the being once in a while, loving?
Yeah, she just said, use your breath. So focus on your breathing. Take a breath. Oh. Inhale and exhale.
Exhale like a whale is what I always say. Okay, so let's go. You are getting bonus rounds because you've rocked us to the core with great. This is like a game show. So here's
Feels
Mac.
like it.
It is. It is. Here's Mac. Don't call her Mackenzie. She's everything plants, animals, nature. Now, people get to go surfing with their eyes shut. She's one of your surf guides if you ever go. And if you haven't been, you got to grab me after the show. We'll do this in the future. But here's Mac. Don't call her Mackenzie. And anybody who wants to put their hand out and feel the energy. And actually, can we have you do that as well so people can see you do it?
Yeah.
And tell us, you're getting a vibe one way through your hand. It's like an antenna. And maybe get a beautiful healing whoosh on your back.
Yep.
And then also wonderful advice for us all from Mac. And I'll turn it so you can probably see a face.
Yeah. Well, I love the energy. It is very flowy. And she is talking about riding the wave. So listen, life is waves, whether it feels like a wave of success, a wave of failure, a wave of nothingness, just know it's just one wave. It's not the whole ocean, is what she's saying. It's a wave.
Oh, love it. Love it. Michelle, you're rocking us again. I got to say that out loud. Okay, so there's a Heather. Her name is the word heart in there. If you rearrange the letters, there's a couple extras, but she makes hearts in her photographs. You can go to my website and see that on the angel page with all the photographs. I'm seeing her in human form, but not to take any more time. Sweden, Maui, New York, and Austin at a bookstore. I mean, my tongue goes out and then I'm like, oh, it was a memory each time. It was incredible. But here's Heather. She's compassion, and here's her as a heart. And first, get something for yourself privately. Let's talk soulmates, love, letting go, getting out of our own way to find real bliss and happiness beyond anything we would ever normally allow in our reality. Like when we go through our day, we normally don't go big love. We just don't. Unless you're already in the middle of big love. But that's like, you know, it feels like 1 out of 100, 1 out of 20 people. So what does she say about just letting go and living more?
Well, it feels like if you are loving yourself, letting go and living more, big love is coming in for you because you can't not ride that wave.
So it all depends on which surfboard you're choosing, if you even went to the beach, and if you're willing to put your feet in the water in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know how to surf, but maybe I need to go buy a big surfboard because I think I need to start riding some waves.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Okay, so tell us more about now, what are you up to as a professional? And you say, you know, spiritual healer, psychic medium certified. What panels have you been on in the last 6 months, year? What's coming up? Where can people find you if they're out and about? If it's California somewhere?
Yeah, I was with Helping Parents Heal at their group seminar. It was a week long in August. I went to the conference for IANS and I was a speaker there. I am hoping to be a speaker there again in Virginia in September. And so I'm, you know, I've got radio shows that I've been on, podcast. You can find me online. I do online group readings. I do in-person group readings if you're in the Phoenix area. So there are a million different ways to connect with me. And, you know, I love that we are back in person because some people really, I just want to say, need that connection, right? I will say this, as far as the reading goes, whether it's on Zoom, on the phone, or in person, the information that comes through is the same. So I don't worry about the quality of it. But people like to have that in-person connection with me when I'm connecting for them.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So IANDS is the International Association of Near-Death Studies. Did I get it right? There's all these chapters like San Diego, Hawaii.
Right.
You can find that on Facebook and stuff like that. What's your favorite platform, social media, where people can go check you out? They're listening now, but they want to do that multitasking thing. And for once, we're like, okay, go do the multitasking. Do you want them to go to Facebook?
Facebook, Instagram, either of those are good. I'm on there more than anything else.
Have you started a line of giving advice that way? Just 20 seconds here, 30 seconds there. What's something they can keep, what do you call it? Focus in on. What do you have as offerings either online or back at your website that, do you have t-shirts at all?
No, I don't, but you know, maybe I'll come up with some. I do have a YouTube channel. That one has a lot of me speaking, giving advice, different ideas, thoughts. So you can go to the YouTube channel. The other thing is on my website, I have different courses that I've taught for sale. And I think it's like $24 for the course or something like that. but they're talking about the soul's plan versus the human plan, talking about connecting with loved ones in spirit over mediumship, intuitive medical abilities, things like this. So channeling. So I have multiple courses for sale that people can buy, and you can watch those at your leisure and then my YouTube channel. And I am going to start doing more lives because I feel like people really want that 30-second answer and that 30-second connection.
I think people right now are clapping and saying, yes, Michelle, we need to hear you talk more. You're inspiring when you talk, and you're flowing beautiful energy. Okay, so what are the big picture lessons that now when you look back, you could have walked a smoother path, but in a way it's been perfect as it is because it's brought you to us, all of us, exactly how you are now. And it's also created an amazing foundation from which you can operate. So again, there's folks out there who, like Bethany Hamilton, had an arm bitten off by a shark, but I mean, she has influenced and impacted so many young folks, adults, been an inspiration now to so many others. So without that couldn't have unfolded the way it did. Talk to us about your lessons, the ones you want to share, and then also a reminder about the turbulence and how successes, failures, the ebb and flow, how it molds us into that unique life path and our own offerings for others.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the main lessons I learned is that we all come here to just serve ourselves. That's not where we're taught. We're taught you could better come here and serve everyone else. But you actually come here with the soul plan to serve your soul. When you're serving your soul, the ripple effect is serving everyone else. So by me coming here and being Michelle and honoring that my soul wants to practice as a medium, by honoring myself first, that is how I serve others. So if somebody is coming and they want to practice medicine or find, cures for diseases, and they're honoring their soul because their soul loves research, they are serving others. So honor yourself first, serve yourself first, and the rest happens effortlessly. It's not selfish, but that's kind of what we think. The other thing that I would say is that it really is all about love. This life is about love. Who do you love? How do you love? Do you love yourself? We came from the oneness. We're going to return to the oneness. So honor the fact that right now the contrast allows you to be an individual, because we're not always in the space where the contrast allows us to be an individual. But you are a man, you have this orange shirt on. I can see you because of the contrast, right? And it's a beautiful thing. So contrast isn't bad. It also helps us know which way we want to go. If you know what you don't like, then it helps to point you to what you do like or what you do want.
And remind us about the little things in life too, just wearing more color, being more purposeful in your intent, even if it's subconscious. I don't know how to really get this across, but a little more cooking, a little more moving slowly, a little less devices, a little less TV, or just watching the TV, not device, but planting flowers, smelling the flowers. Could be the neighbor's flowers. Talk to us about enjoying the little things in life more, because this is back to the Love Actually theme, or love is the fabric of the universe. How about that? How can it doesn't have to be something big. It could be those micro moments. There we go. Or just loving the dog and telling Fluffy, I love you, and listening to Fluffy tell you, I love you back, mommy.
Yeah. So it's about being present in the moment. Period. Listen, if you're working, focus on work. You'll be 100% more proficient at getting it done. If you're at home and you're loving on the dog, be 100% there with the dog. So be present in your moment, whether it is stopping to smell the roses, drinking your cup of coffee, working, friends, family, relationships. It's all just about being present. Our power is in the present moment. Yes, that's why we like to daydream, right? So when we manifest, we're creating that here. I have my daydream, I feel the energy. Okay, boom. And then I set it aside and let the universe work on it. I don't control the future, neither do you. And my power is not in the future. My power is right here in the present moment.
And again, I just heard this the other day, and I gotta mention this. You don't need to worry about the details so much. That's what the whole universal thing is about, whether it's Esther Hicks, The Alchemist behind me on one of the shelves here by Paulo Coelho. And speaking of other books and resources, we mentioned Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, fantastic audio CDs. There's a whole collection. It would be like the Grateful Dead when they had the Buffalo 77 and the Charleston, 78, the different concert variations. They have these discs. You can go find all her different cities, Chicago. It's just endless content. But if you do this often enough, it sinks in and you go, oh, been there and done that. I've gotten the message, and it's almost like it's subliminal. You give yourself more breathing room to start to live it a little bit. Talk to us about a couple more resources people have out there. It could be online, books, movie.
Oh my goodness. Well, there are podcasts. They're like this. There are YouTube channels. There are amazing places to go, right? So find somebody who says something that you resonate with them. Go to their website, Google them, go to their podcast, go to their YouTube page. Start following the people that are speaking to your heart, because not everyone, we don't resonate with everyone, but find the people who do and dive in more. Do you want to learn mediumship? Take a course. You can find online courses. Do you want to learn how to communicate with your angels? Have someone teach you. You can do that, Michael. Teach them. You know, there's this energy of everything is here for us to learn and grow and be able to do. So find out what you resonate with and follow it.
Beautiful. You've been incredible today. I'm still going to get you Audrey Hepburn, historical photo. And folks can find this on the first page of my website if they want. But here's the point. A historical photo can move, smile, wink, eyebrow goes up, shoulder waggle. Let the photo move. Feel the energy. Put your hand out if you want.
Wouldn't that be something, Michael? Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, and you can get a hug, you can get an answer.
Get it.
I didn't get it. Okay, here's Audrey Hepburn, and get whatever you need in this exact moment. And for the audience, give yourself permission to let go, ask your higher self to kick in, ask your angels and guides to help you. Feel what you feel, don't judge, just receive, like a big catcher's mitt, and you're already in the, I was going to say NFL, but not. NBA, did I get it right? No, Major League Baseball, MLB. Hello. I'm here and I'm not here, sorry. So what's Audrey got for us all? Or get a big compliment, but you got to share the compliment out loud. She just complimented you big time, but you got to be bashful or unabashed about this.
You know, what she's saying is we're all someone. Right. So the energy that I got from her, it's kind of like we say to ourselves, well, who do I think I am that I could do that? Who do I think I am that I could do that? And she's kind of like, you're someone, you can do it. So that would be her words to you, to everyone, is you are someone who can do what you want. It's not about somebody has more stature or clout or this or that. Who do you want to be in the moment?
Ooh. And that will be the final little area we're going to drill down to. Everyone's got a unique life path. Everyone has amazing offerings to give to others, but first to themselves. They've just got to get started. And it's not all those external things. They don't have to go get a degree. They don't have to jump through this hoop, watch this program, read that book. It's getting started with self-love. So give us a pep talk on how these are baby steps, and you got to like give yourself time to acclimate, but you just have to get started.
Yeah. Well, number one, right? Self-love. Find your passion. Find what inspires you. That's your soul talking, right? So the minute you start following your passion and things that inspire you, you're listening to your soul. So the energy starts growing and growing, and you get excited. Humor, it's huge. Laugh at yourself. Oh my God, I totally messed up on that. I need to do this again, right? We have to be able to laugh at ourselves. Know that spirit world, our soul sees our human as almost like a little 2 or 3 year old. Like, oh, isn't that cute? They want to pat us on the head. Isn't that cute? They got really frustrated because whatever, they spilled their coffee on their clothes today. Or, you know, I mean, laugh at yourself. Give yourself that room to laugh and grow. And know that this is never done. We will never get to the point in our life where we say, check the box, I completed it, I'm good. It is all about the journey. And I'm not saying that to frustrate someone, but I'm saying that for you to know that in every moment, there is room to grow, and no moment of anyone's life is ever wasted.
Agreed. And ego, no matter which way you hear all this, and I've learned this after 11 years, there's just no stop to the learning. Trust me, if you keep asking for it, you'll always get more lessons. Even if you nailed a couple lessons, you're like, oh, I'm going to jump on this early. You're going to get 13 more lessons in to replace the 2 that you learned fast. But ego's there with the checklist. Mm-hmm. And so it may be judging yourself, judging others, judging what Michelle said, in a way that you'll find it parts you from the gift you were just given. Just the idea of taking a breath. I've had times where 2 hours later, I'm like, wow, I thought I just took that big golden breath, the Buddhist breath, or whatever you want to call it, Buddhist belly breathing. And 2 hours went by and I talked myself out of it. I never even gave it a try. I've been moving around the house. Suddenly I got to go unload the dishwasher. I mean, anything but just sitting still in that big heart of mine. And that's where you learn to meet and eventually this much tame your ego. We're not trying to make ego a bad guy. but there's something that's up here and there's something here. And Michelle's the one you're going to want to get into contact with. Do you do consults first? Or do people just generally just jump off the cliff edge into the ocean below? And you're the ocean. Do they just book you and take the chance? Is that how it is best?
They just book me. Yes. I actually, my schedule's full enough that I don't have time to do consults. So you can book a 30-minute or 60-minute. You could actually show up on a gallery reading or a small group reading. So if somebody wants to just kind of dip their toes in first, sign up for a gallery reading or a small group reading if you're not sure. And then you'll know and you'll be all in. I can guarantee you that.
And that's MichelleClare.net. Michelle, the normal way, Michaelle, not to knock other Michelles out there. Clare, CLARE.net. And I want to thank you for being on the show. I think everyone has benefited. I've certainly benefited. Very just pleased to have you on the show. So thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michael, for having me. I have enjoyed our time together.
Yes, we'll have to see if we can get you back later in the year.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. You've been on Angels, Positivity, and Love, and stay tuned for another episode soon. Take care.